Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Farm Kenya show. I'm Noah Kipkimboy. And today we have an interesting discussion. This one touches on money. And you know, money has no feelings. Money most of the times is very balanced. The way you choose to use it, it depends with your intentions. Money can be used negatively, positively. And this touches specifically on matters to do with agriculture financing. We've seen that agriculture in Kenya, a very pertinent sector, actually contributing a huge part of our GDP as a country, employing a lot of people, almost over 70% of the rural population, they're employed in agriculture value chain. When you talk about overall employment, 40% are employed in agricultural value chain. But you unpack how much money is it going to the sector, then it gets sad very quickly. Because when you look, for example, formal financing, banks are lending every day to different ideas. If you want to put a manufacturing plant, they have got you. Money will come very quickly. But when you look at their portfolio, total portfolio, how much is going into agriculture? Sometimes you find it's either between 3 to 4%, and reasons are given for that purpose. Matters to do with how risky the sector is and lack of structures within the sector. Those are valid reasons, but we cannot keep pointing to problems or challenges. We have to offer solutions, and that's why today our conversation will be touching on the solutions when it comes to matters to do with financing agriculture. And today I have in studio Faith Kaithia, who's the head of sales at Avenues. Welcome to the Farm Kenya show.
Thank you, Noah.
Faith, just before we go to agri-news, when you talk about agriculture and financing, how critical is it? And this is sort of to open up, what should our viewers expect when it comes to the conversation that we'll be having later on?
Thank you, Noah. It's going to be a very interesting conversation because agriculture is the backbone of our economy, and I believe it touches everybody's life in our country. We look at numbers, 30% of our GDP is contributed from the agri sector. So when we are seated here today, this afternoon, talking about agri support in terms of financing, then we're in tandem of what our economy is all built about.
Definitely.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to unpacking some of the dynamics within the value chain and what we can do different to make sure that the sector is well financed. All right, at this particular moment, let's take a look at agri-news. All right, we start all the way from Meru, where Meru Governor Isaac Mutuma has issued an expulsion order to Kamal herders, declaring the county a strict no-go zone. And the governor ordered all herders to vacate Meru immediately or face forceful security intervention. This directive comes ahead of the looming dry season as the county moves to protect its bread basket from the seasonal influx of thousands of camels that have historically left Meru's maize and wheat farmers counting heavy losses with zero compensation.
Tunaambia serikali yetu kuu, the gazetted security areas ambazo zilifanyiwa gazettement 2 weeks ago, wanajaribu. Hatutasema hatuna shukran kwa sababu walisikia kilio yetu. Lakini we are not yet there. 15,000 hens of cattle ambao tumepoteza in the last few years. Na ile ng'ombe ambayo tumerundishiwa ng'ombe 180. Hiyo hesabu ukifanya ni kama hakuna kitu imefanyika. Lakini kama community hatuwezi kosa shukurani, tuambie serikali yetu wanajaribu. We also acknowledge that the recovery process ama recovery ya security ile ambayo inafanyika si rahisi, kwa sababu hata mahali ng'ombe wamewekwa ni wakora na wanalinda hao ng'ombe. Lakini tunajua serikali yetu iko na nguvu na tunandai kurudishiwa mifugo wetu. 15,000 hens of cattle warudishwa hapa Meru.
Now, from matters camels, let's talk coffee, and specifically African coffee. The African Coffee Trade Fair recorded its highest ever sales. And this is quite interesting, with premium Kenyan specialty coffee fetching a landmark $120 per kilogram. That is approximately around 15,500 shillings per kg. And this was made possible by shifting to a fully digital direct auction linked to local producers from actually Nyeri and Kirinyaga counties. They linked them using the digital system directly to elite buyers from across Europe, Asia, and the Americas.
We realized that bringing the overseas buyers all the way to Nairobi to engage in direct sale relationship with the farmers was costly to them and also for us to coordinate. So for this year, we came up with an online platform where we have all the buyers across the world, from Europe, America, Japan, Australia, and the whole of Asia region and Middle East. All of them are bidding today.
This auction is giving farmers a platform whereby bidders around the world can experience the top 30 coffees in Kenya. We had presented 32 kgs, and we've been able to realize a record price of $33.5 per kg. This is the highest ever price that we have gotten for our coffee.
I'm proud to say one of the lots has already fetched $120 a kilo. I'm very proud for this occasion because it shows us, without even seeing the face of the buyer, they have the faith of what they have been given as a sample lot against what we have. Today was the day that capping and the online, which is faceless, which is transparent, has resulted in something momentous.
Congratulations right there. But let's talk matters dairy. When you talk to any dairy farmer right now, what is their greatest concern? Most likely, coming top of mind, is the issue to do with cost, and specifically cost of feed. Now, with animal feed currently taking up over 70% of production costs, dairy farmers have been forced to rely on expensive inputs from neighboring countries, driving milk prices beyond the reach of many households. Now, the dairy sector is eyeing an escape from this import trap with new climate-smart pasture and forages meant to address the current shortage of livestock feed in the country.
Dairy farming is feed intensive, and the biggest challenge, as you are saying, is availability of feed in terms of quality and quantity throughout the year. What we have done as an organization is to develop climate smart varieties of different pastures and forages. We want our farmers to run away from commercial supplements, and therefore we have forages which are able to provide the much needed protein, the much needed energy, away from using the commercial dairy mills and so forth.
We've put some money for at least to do some bit of feasibility study so that we are intending to establish animal feeds plants in Kiambu, which we are looking to that will be able to solve our own problems, and even the region, other counties that are bordering Kiambu. We have that intention of ensuring that we establish and help our farmers plus the neighboring counties.
All right, and on to our weekly Farm Guide segment in Bukavu. A young entrepreneur, Joella Buhendwa, is turning organic waste into valuable animal feed, and even this touches on the other story. And fertilizer through black soldier fly farming. This is BSF farming, offering an innovative solution to support agriculture in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this particular story is in partnership with Vari.
Young entrepreneur Joel Buhendwa is transforming organic waste into animal feed and fertilizer in Bukavu, farming black soldier flies to support agriculture in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The insects go through a 4-stage life cycle, with the larval stage being the most important, as they consume large amounts of waste for 14 to 21 days and can reduce organic material by up to 80% in under 3 weeks.
Alors, on stérilise les déchets. Après cette étape-là, voilà.
So we sterilize the waste. After that step, the flies lay their eggs. Then we collect those eggs. And when they hatch, the larvae feed on the waste to grow. When they reach a certain size, we'll dry them and process them. But before drying the larvae, we will extract oil that will be used in cosmetics. It's also important to note that while the larvae are decomposing the waste, the decomposed waste and the larvae's feces serve as fertilizer for the fields.
Voilà, les déchets décomposés, la matière fécale de larves sert d'engrais pour les champs.
Through her company, Astifem, Buhendwa is applying a circular model to address waste management and agricultural input shortages. She said demand for her products remains strong, but production is constrained by limited equipment and space.
Alors,
so this fertilizer will be sent to the storage area, which will then be distributed to the agricultural sector. But the larvae will be processed, dried, and ground up to serve as animal feed.
Voilà, c'est comme ça que se passe tous les cycles.
BSF farming is increasingly seen as a suitable alternative to traditional feed sources. Valued at around $1.8 billion in 2026, the sector is rapidly expanding, driven by demand for waste reduction and alternative protein. Beyond production, Buhendwa is involved in youth and community initiatives, including serving as vice president of the You Report Girls Club and working as a peace ambassador for UNICEF and the ProSani USA program.
Pour eux, jusque-là, c'est pas
The
vraiment...
community hasn't accepted black soldier fly farming yet. For them, so far, it's not really an interesting line of work, especially since you have to deal with waste and bad smells and everything, and even more so because we are women. It's a bit repulsive, and society doesn't approve. But aside from that, we also face a major challenge in production. Demand is high, really strong.
L'effet, c'est que voilà, on n'a pas un espace.
The power of innovation and finding ways to fill that particular gap. You see, BSF farming has had huge impact, especially protein supply when it comes to animal feed at an affordable rate, which is very, very important. But right now, we want to talk matters to do with agri-financing. Faith Kaithia is the head of sales at Avenues. Thank you for making time. Faith, I mean, you know, you've worked in the banking sector for a number of decades, to be specific, and now you're very specific in your intervention, and you're saying that I want to finance agriculture and a certain part of agriculture. But I'd like for you to paint for us a picture, sort of an overview, when it comes to financing agriculture in the country from an overall standpoint. When just picking the normal banking sector, the formal banking sector, it's not been very encouraging from back in the day. Agriculture has been deemed more, risky to finance. Is that the status quo that we are springing from?
Actually, you're so right, Noah. And that's where we saw the gap as Avenues, because the gap is indeed there. How is it so? Traditional banking has a lot of requirements before that agri-trader can actually access finance. And the hurdles are, you have to provide collateral, you have to actually wait for a longer period for your application, for your facility to be approved. It takes time, and we saw the gap. So how we come in to bridge this gap, we came with a different way of doing it. You've talked about innovation, and I like that fact. We came with an innovative way of seeing how do we quickly finance this agri-trader at the time when they need finances. You know, agri is season-based. March is planting season. If we delay financing that agro dealer, the farmer may delay getting the inputs. Hence, it delays the whole food system. So what we did is that we came with a bridge of that financing gap that is more timely, offering this financing in a timely manner. It's accessed through a digital platform, and we are very specialized as agri-lenders, sector-based, specifically agri, so we understand how each agri-trade may be operating.
Okay.
Of course, we look at value chains, and specifically, currently we are focused on 5 value chains as avenues. We have the dairy value chain, and I like where we started with the news. It's very broad. Dairy value chain is very broad. So we also look at poultry. We also look at livestock. We also look at horticulture, and horticulture involves both fresh fruits and vegetables. And we also look at input dealers. And this is where input dealers are the agro dealers, animal feeds providers or sellers, or even producers. Those are the value chains we look at. So what is unique with us is that we look at each of these value chain, look at how can we specifically specialize financing solutions that match their business cycles and how they run their businesses on a day-to-day.
Do you feel that's been the biggest barrier in terms of misunderstanding or failure to invest in understanding the dynamics of how these agribusinesses are run? And with your experience in banking previously, traditional banking, have you seen how different these sectors and the dynamics within these sectors actually vary from a point of view of a normal banker?
Exactly. You're very right. Agri-trade, agri-financing is very dynamic and very unique compared to a normal SME business, a normal trader. Because agri sometimes is tied to seasons, is tied to cycles. So if a financier does not look at it as so, you may miss the point of trying to finance on spot and at the right time and in a timely manner. So what traditional banking may have done is basically looking at every business on the same level. Agri is unique, it's different. In fact, you see the 5 value chains I mentioned, we finance them differently. The way we may finance a dairy dealer, agri-trader, is not the same way we may finance an input dealer. There is uniqueness in every value chain. And that's where now we saw the gap and we are trying to fill that gap. And that's where traditional banking, they are trying, but not yet quite there, because they have to look at agri as a unique sector and look at each value chain in a different scope.
And just for clarification for our viewers, when it comes to the people who are authorized or licensed to finance. Also, I think the regulator has evolved to be more specific. Talk to me a bit about that, because you finance agri-traders, but you don't finance farmers directly.
Yes.
Talk to me about that variation and how regulatory handles that.
Exactly. Yes, we are licensed by Central Bank of Kenya to finance an agri-trader. Who is an agri-trader? An agri-trader is this business owner who either buys from a farmer to resell. Maybe I'm aggregating eggs or milk in my store, then I sell it out. Or this agri-trader who is selling to a farmer. And a good example is an agrovet or an animal feeds dealer. Now, there are other institutions that may be licensed for something different to finance the farmer. And when they are licensed to finance the farmer also has a unique business model. They have to plant, the crop has to grow. So they have to also de-risk it in a very unique way for them to be able to finance the farmer. So they have a model that is so different that is able to support this farmer at different stages of their crop getting ready. But for us, we are looking at who is buying from the farmer and who is selling to the farmer.
Definitely.
Yes.
That clarification is very important so that we don't mix up everything in this particular pot.
Exactly.
People are, why are you not talking about giving money to the farmers, whereas you're talking about the agri-trader, to be specific? And they are a critical pillar when it comes to our agricultural value chain. Right now, we want to take a short break, but when we come back, we'll unpack what happens to the traders, what challenges have they been facing, how we are fulfilling that challenge. The good book talks about money answereth all questions. I don't know whether these apply in this situation, and what is the impact of financing these agri-traders to the overall, concern of food security in this particular country. From Kenya takes a short break. Stay tuned. We'll return with more.
We are standing here, as much as we are respecting the decision of the Court of Appeal, saying that they are not trading. We, as the peasant farmers, are saying that this matter has taken too long, because since 2022, when we went to the High Court, we have never been heard. We have never appeared before any judge. Throughout the process, the government has been raising technical issues from one point to the other.
All right, those are actually Peasant Farmers Association, and they're talking about the issues to do with GMO seeds. They have a case at the Court of Appeal, and that was their plea that should be fast-tracked. But coming back to the discussion of the day, matters to do with agriculture finance. I have Faith Kaithia, head of sales at News, and we clarified that there is financing the agri-trader. There is also financing the farmer. There is also financing of takers at the end of the value chain. There are different forms of financing. But let's unpack agri-traders.
Yes.
And this varies from value chain to the other, from sector to the other.
Exactly.
But overall, when you combine the sector, that's sort of from production now, the linkage from producer to the market, for example, or supplier to the farmer. What has been their biggest concerns? What has been their biggest challenges for agri-traders in the country?
Yeah, thank you, Noah. One of the biggest challenges for the agri-traders in the country, one has actually been access to finance, because finance is supposed to help every business scale up. If you don't have financing, sometimes you're tied out. You're not able to scale to the next level. So there's that lack of working capital. There's that lack of financing to restock, and that becomes the biggest challenge. But now, let's look at it also from the financial side of it. We finance agri-traders. Our main challenge with this agri-trader, some of them are actually not running the businesses as a trade per se. You probably don't have the right documentation, and it's basic. For example, you're an egg supplier in the poultry value chain. You have your eggs you supply to a supermarket or a restaurant. Do you have the invoices? Do you have the receipts? Do you have the delivery notes? When it comes to you banking or working with your business finances, are you really just mixing your business money and your personal money? And it becomes very hard to separate the two if a trader does not separate them. And in a simple way to separate it is have a different account for your business. Use the options that are available, the pay bills, the buy goods, if those options are better than actually mixing that with your personal money. So with the finances, actually find a challenge where somebody has done this mix-up of finances. We are not able to gauge fully how much can we finance you, or are you eligible for financing? Because one main determinant of whether you're eligible for financing is your cash flows and how they look like. And we can only tell cash flows if there's a trail. Records, financial statements, and it's basic, I said, not the very complex financial statements. Your bank statement for the business, and those are pay bill by good statements.
Okay.
Yes.
And that is actually one step towards formalizing the businesses.
Exactly.
It seems informal businesses dominate our economy. I mean, lots of MSMEs in the country fall under the informal sector. So there is also that fear of formalizing. I don't know whether it's something that you interact with quite often. I'm running my aggregate, but I don't know, I don't want the government too much into my business, but also that is holding me back to some of the benefits that I can get from formalizing. Is it a conversation that you're having with lots of agri-traders?
Exactly, and that actually brings out the major challenge on the ground. It's a discussion we're having with the agri-traders because, like you rightfully said, they have that fear of formalizing because they have this assumption that probably I may get at loggerheads with the government. But let me tell you, it's easy to actually work well with government when you formalize things, because if you're that trader who does proper financial records and everything is spelled out clear, you may realize there's nothing to argue about with the government, for example, because everything is clear. Maybe you're confusing. Another challenge is probably you're confusing your sales turnover and profit. Sales turnover, your daily, monthly, annual sales, that's not your profit. If you have to pay, for example, taxes, it's based on how much money did you make. So there's that confusion where the traders lack the knowledge of how do I do proper records, how do I do proper financial records, understand what is sales turnover, understand what is profit, and understand also when is your business making a loss.
Okay.
And that's where we come in also trying to fill the knowledge gap, because we are on the ground. We are a digital financier, yes, but we have a face to it. We have relationships teams on ground who actually walk the journey with these clients and try to educate them and make them understand that if you run your business the proper way, proper formal way, things get easier for you. And there's nothing to be afraid of.
Wow. That really helps, because the informality of businesses really hold them back. And you talk about the impact of proper financing. Scaling is one, restocking, and being able to, for business to continue running.
Yes.
Which is very, very critical. So apart from looking at your record keeping, is there other ways that these agri-traders can make themselves more bankable, can make themselves more attractive to people who might want to fund their businesses?
Very interesting question. And let me explain this based on how we do it at Avenues. We work with distributors, manufacturers as partners, and then there are stockists who buy from them. So this stockist, for example, who is buying from distributor X, can qualify for financing based on how their relationship is like with their distributor or their supplier. So we go further and look at how have you been making your stock orders, how often, what's the relationship between you and your supplier, and on the basis of that, you find it easier to gain access to financing, because there is a relationship with a distributor, there is a record trail, and we can see your business cycle through how you make your orders every now and then.
Okay. Wow. So business analytics walks into the into the room.
Yes.
And we have to unpack your numbers.
Yes.
Look how money is moving and how your stock is moving. Very,
Yes.
very important.
Yes.
Those market linkages becomes very, very critical.
Exactly.
There's also the people as smallholder farmers, which are majority of our farmers in this country.
Very true.
They really hunger for also financing. But you say you are very critical on traders, agri-traders. But smallholder farmers can also find a way of transforming themselves into traders.
They can actually work their way up the value chain.
How so?
Let me give you an example of a poultry farmer. You probably have your poultry, and maybe your main poultry is eggs, and you normally do these eggs and probably sell your eggs to a hotel, to a supermarket, to a hospital or a school. Now, if you're doing this as a business, in the sense that you supplied, there's a trade record, you received a payment, we can trace it in your account statement or your M-Pesa statements. This is now a farmer who is running it as a business. In Swahili, we say kilimo biashara, agri-business. This one is different from somebody else who is running their farming. It's a hobby. I sell my eggs. You come to my farm. You You sell to me in cash, I give you the X, you go. Now, if you want if you wanted financing, or if I wanted financing, how will I get it? And there's no trail. The trail record is not there because you did it cash. I cannot even tell you sold how much. So we cannot even calculate or compute how much you're able to qualify for. Okay. So that's the whole difference, running it as an agri-business or just farming as a hobby. Okay. And my advice to this person is, this more older farmer, run your farming like a business, an agri-business. Keep proper records. Separate your personal money and your business money. If you had to receive that payment in cash, do banking for it, let there be a trail for it. Because those are the determinants of how we are going to be able to finance you.
Okay.
Yes.
For just observing the intervention that you're making,
yes,
as you say, you're a fintech company.
Yes.
With the first to it.
Yes.
Technology seems to be a huge enabler.
Very true.
But also it can catalyze us the wrong way. Sometimes when access is democratized and you can easily get money and you can borrow from different platforms, and if you're not diligent enough, sometimes it becomes a problem. But let's talk a little bit about tech and the impact of technology when it comes to financing agriculture. Looking at the microcosm of what you guys are doing, is it something that can be scaled from production all the way to consumption, and we utilize technology as a tool to sort of push and enable the whole value chain to access more financing?
Actually, you just defined exactly how we do it. It's digital lending, yes. We have a digital platform, or digital platforms available for one to access that financing, all the way from the producer, all the way to the last off taker. That is exactly how we do it. And it makes life easier because it's not, you don't just have to take all the time to walk to a brick and mortar to physically meet somebody, line up on a queue and make your application, fill a number of pages on an application form. It takes so much time off your time as a trader. So what we are really trying to say here is that offering this option digitally makes life easier. It shortens the timeline that your application has to go through. It shortens the process. It makes it quicker for you to gain that access on a timely manner. We are anchored on 4 pillars, and one pillar is actually flexibility when it comes to offering financing solutions. Okay. So when we avail it digitally, we are trying to make it as flexible as possible. And even if you go to the digital platform, you find the process is so simplified because it's supposed to be that simple, so that this trader does not have to focus on making a loan or financing application. They need time to focus on their business and work on their business for it to grow and scale up. So digital is good, but also digital that has a human face to it, like I mentioned earlier, because it doesn't stop there. Once we offer the financing to you, we have to walk this journey all the way for you to you being able to repay and take it again. Okay. We also anchored on a pillar of recurring financing. Recurring in this sense, our digital model does not just give you a term loan. Let me give a very simple scenario. We assess your cash flow, we look at your financials, and we realize you're qualifying, say, for 1 million. We don't give you money as cash directly to your account. We approve a limit. A limit means we have known your business can qualify to take up to 1 million, but we know that you need to restock your business this week we have an invoice pending of about 200,000 Kenya shillings. So how do we do it? We will approve the larger limit, but tell you bring your invoice of 200,000 shillings. We pay for your goods to your distributor. We control the purpose of where the money goes so that, again, you don't divert. And then when it comes to you in terms of cost of credit, it becomes cheaper. We approved 1 million. We didn't give it all to you. We didn't give it to you all at once. You only took 200. So when it comes to paying interests, which is the only charge you incur if you're dealing with avenues, you only pay on the 200 that you took. Then next week, again, you have another 100,000 shillings invoice. You still bring it. Remember, your limit is still available. After 3 weeks, you have been paid. The payment clears the first loan amount that you took. So again, that money is still available to you. So this model in terms of our digital lending platform becomes very flexible because you only pay interest on the amount you took, not the overall loan amount as opposed to term loans.
Okay.
So it becomes flexible, cheaper, and easy.
Definitely. So do you think this can be scaled? Even let's talk to the farmers, for example. And you're not lending to farmers directly, but I'm pretty sure in finance you have a little bit of understanding how that goes on. Do you think these elements, because that is also a different ecosystem in of itself. Yeah, but can we sort of apply? Because I'm thinking of scale. If we are to have impact, we have to find replication and duplication across the value chain. Is it something that can work for the whole value chain?
It can work for the entire value chain. And like for the farmer, I said, where they are formalized, life gets easier. But where the farmer has not formalized their business model, becomes very hard because there is no trail of how much limit do we give this farmer?
Definitely.
They have no statement showing us that they receive 300,000 shillings a month or 10,000 shillings a day. So how do we quantify how much they can access?
All right.
But where they are formalized, this digital model is very flexible. It's able to work at their level. And that explains why it is very hard to lend to the farmer if they have not formalized their business to be an agri-business.
Definitely. So farmers are called to formalize.
Yes.
Now, with this massive gap that we've seen in financing agriculture, on the other side, there are people like you who are very intentional to on lend to value chain players. But even on an overall scale of things, there are people who have access to finance money and they're looking to place money in purposeful areas that could be on lent to people within these value chains. Now that brings out partnerships within the whole financial ecosystem. Talk to me about how much hunger we are seeing and acquisition from the big financiers asking, we want to lend to agriculture, but we don't know how to. But you have ground, as people would say it and put it. Talk to me about those partnerships. Is this something that we're seeing a lot of interest in?
Actually, partnerships is the way to go. And we work with some of those partnerships because those partnerships represent different scopes of things. There's a partnership, for example, it's a large institution that lends to financial lenders of the agri-traders. They become an interested party, a party of interest to us. There's also these partnerships that work to support maybe through capacity building and other ways of these agri-traders. Again, we partner with them. There are these also partners who are in the trade itself. It could be a producer, manufacturer, or could be a large wholesaler. Again, they become partners of interest to us. So partnerships is all about leverage. It's all about leverage and see where can the leverage come in so that we work this together to support the larger agri-ecosystem in the country.
Wow. And when all this is said and done, and assuming that we are implementing, we are being consistent in financing and other players are coming into the game, we are seeing an avalanche of agricultural financing within the different sectors of the value chain. Let's marry that into our food security conversation in the country. I mean, right now we are in 2026, and still we lose people to hunger.
Very true.
And even as a country, we import a lot of food, though we have potential to produce within. Talk to me about how financing can help us achieve food security as a nation.
You know, agri-financing is meant to support the overall farmer. We're supposed to support the overall consumer. Hence that food security narrative. Currently, we are struggling with tomatoes. If you buy 5 tomatoes today, you're a hero. And it explains a lot. So what agri-financing is meant to do is support any trader who supports to support the farmer so that the farmer in a timely manner can be able to produce on time and provide whatever is needed to the consumer in the long run. So when it comes to agri-financing, the whole agenda or idea is to finance in a timely manner, in season, because trade, agri-business, agri-finance, farming and all is tied to seasons. At the right season, you know, if an agri-trader came today and said it's April, the rains are here, and I need financing, and we don't offer it at the point, and we offer it 2 months later, it will not help the agro-trader. Why? The season is out. By the time they are getting the financing solution, the season is over. So we may not even be able to help. So if we don't help this person, this trader, we will not also help the farmer. If we don't help the farmer, we will not help the consumer. So it's a system of things, it's an ecosystem from the consumer all the way to the top of the producer. So the whole message here is, if we finance agri-trade in a timely manner, at the point in time where it's needed, then definitely we are helping solve this challenge we have around food security.
Definitely. And you know, when you talk about traders, especially in the informal setup, we've had, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it's a necessary part of the ecosystem and has been like that. The issue of middlemen. Traders,
Yes,
they buy from one person
Yes.
and they go sell because they have a market to it.
Yes.
Is also, do you also finance middlemen?
Actually, we look at them as an agri-trader because
Okay.
they are smart business people.
Yes.
They know when the crop is in season, so they go buy that crop when it's in season directly from the farm. Then they come and sell to the next party. Maybe they supply somewhere to a producer or even export. So yes, we do finance them because where are they buying from? The farmer.
Exactly.
If we don't finance this person here, the trader here, we call them aggregators. Some of them are like aggregators. They buy, let's say like horticulture, it's macadamia nuts. They're buying from many different farmers, aggregate it together, then supply to a large producer. If we don't finance them and they don't have that ability, where will the farmer take their crop? So this trader here is very necessary in the ecosystem.
Definitely.
In their absence, somebody does not know where to take their avocados or their tomatoes or their macadamia nuts.
Definitely.
So definitely we need to finance them so that the overall impact is to impact the farmer who impacts the consumer.
Definitely.
Yes.
I think they need a revamp, because when you mention middlemen, all of a sudden, you know, everyone's guards is up. But they are traders.
They are agri-traders,
They are
actually.
agri-traders.
Yes.
But also, I'm glad that you've mentioned also farmers, because sometimes farmers decry getting little value from their products. And sometimes you have to find a way of working yourself up. Even you can find elements of aggregation amongst yourself farmers.
Exactly.
We've seen people find a way of cooperating.
Exactly.
That's why even forming cooperatives,
Yes.
they start on lending to themselves because they've created value amongst themselves. So
Exactly.
yeah, definitely.
But have you noted, Noah? Remove this agri-trader from the equation. We call them middlemen. And it's quote, not a good name out there.
Okay.
Are you imagining where that farmer who has no knowledge where to take their produce? They have no idea, where do I sell my produce?
Definitely.
But somebody else has gone ahead and researched and realized macadamia nuts can sell well in China.
Okay.
Can I go buy from the village farmers and aggregate it and sell it?
They definitely
Yes.
serve a huge purpose. But thank you very much, Faith,
Yes.
for unpacking this for us. It's been a good conversation, and hopefully we continue preaching this gospel of financing agriculture. It's absolutely critical to make sure that money flows in the agricultural value chain, to make sure that that sector, when it grows, then overall as a country, we're becoming more food secure. Tends to bring the cost of food at more affordable rate, and it makes Kenyans overall happy people. Well, that's been our conversation. Faith Kaithia is the head of sales at Avenues, and she's been an absolute sport to talk to. Thank you very much for making time.
Thank you, Noah.
All right, my name is Nokip Kimboy. That's where we've put a full stop to the Farm Kenya show today. Thank you very much for being part of this journey. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Thank you.